Okay, I'd like to call the June 10th, 2021 meeting to order. It is 6:32 p.m. Bill?
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. I'd like to ask that we all take a moment and honor an HCS family member who lost his battle with cancer earlier in the week. Doug Marcellus, who is an HCS alum, longtime assistant boys basketball coach, and family member of two current faculty members and students, was a very well-respected member of our coaching staff who had a positive impact on every student athlete he had the opportunity to coach. Doug was a tremendous supporter of HCS and an active community member who will be dearly missed. Let's please take a moment of silence to celebrate Doug's life and his contributions to HCS.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we're going to start with some additions to the agenda. Bill?
Yes, under summer school staffing, if we could please add the following substitutes: Peggy Ho and Regis Steinkamp. And then if we could please add Morgan Larson as a summer tech helper assistant.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's it for additions?
That is it, yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 18th, 2021, our regular meeting?
No.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion on those minutes? Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The consent agenda today runs from 3.1 to 4.1. That brings us through the treasurer's report, consideration of claims, transportation report, cafeteria report, authorization to transfer funds, authorization for payment of final bills, the bus bond, the state audit, 2020 M168 report, the state, oh, I said that one, and the policies, the second readings.
Move.
Second. Discussion?
Yes. I've got two things, a quick comment and a slight concern. I'm pleased with 3.8, the corrective action plan. As noted in it, the policy committee has been and will continue to work on some of those policies in the implementation plan. So that's good. So I've got a little bit of a concern I want to raise. And before I do, I just want to say that, as you know, as board members, we each have our own things that we individually put greater attention to. For some, it might be advocacy efforts, others curriculum, what have you. For me, it's policy compliancy and procedural accuracy. So know that the concern I'm going to bring may seem minor, but it's important to me. So 3.7, the bus bond. The full resolution specifically calls for a vote on roll call. I interpret roll call vote to be one where the clerk of the board calls on each member individually to cast a yay or nay vote. Robert's Rules of Order confirms my interpretation. The way we normally cast our votes would be defined as a voice vote. So, since our board policy on parliamentary procedures says that we should follow Robert's Rules of Orders, and because the resolution specifically calls for a vote on roll call, I don't feel comfortable voting on the bus bond resolution in any other way than a roll call. So I would just suggest that we vote on 3.7 separately and by roll call. Again, minor, but
You're muted, Michelle.
Do we need to move that out of the consent agenda, or do we need to, can we leave it in the consent agenda? Debbie?
You have to move it out if you're not going to take action on it as a group.
Okay. So therefore we need to table it and bring it back from the table after we vote on the consent agenda. Does that work for everybody?
again, thank you. It's minor, but you know, it's one of those little things that I want to make sure we're doing right.
What would somebody need to, am I wrong? Somebody needs to move to table it and then we'll,
I move to table 3.7 from the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is now tabled, and any other discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, all those in favor of the consent agenda as it stands currently?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Can I have a motion to bring 3.7 off the table?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion on the bus bond as anything at the moment? Okay, I'm just moving my arrow, sorry. Put it in the wrong spot. All those in favor of the bus bond?
Well, I guess Travis wants me to do it individually, right,
Right.
Travis?
Yeah, because that's
Okay.
a roll call vote.
Okay, so Michelle, what is your vote on 3.7, the bus bond?
Pass or approve or
Aye.
Ellen,
Aye.
aye, that's the word.
Corey,
Aye.
Jen,
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Okay,
Okay. That
Thank you.
That brings us to our first general public comment period. We have just a few people watching this evening. Does anybody have anything on there right now? Emerald Foundation, you are up next. So if you want to prepare and get ready, we will join that part of our meeting in just a second. I just like to give people a chance to type in online if they have something. So I hold this part a little bit longer. All right, seeing nothing at the moment, we can move anything that does come up to our next comment period. We will turn it over to Andrew Coddington and the Hamilton Emerald Foundation for their grant recipients presentation, which is one of our favorite parts of our year. So Andrew?
Thanks, Michelle. I wanted to just thank all of you for giving us a chance to talk about the grants that that we've been able to make to the school and to the students of the Hamilton Central School District this past year. And you know, it's a real labor of love for us, those of us involved with the foundation. And we are just delighted to be able to both raise funds and then be able to grant funds that support the positive educational, social, emotional, and physical development of the students in our school district. So we can't do this without members of this community who support us, and we can't do it, quite frankly, without HCS alumni. And many of our gifts come in from HCS alumni, as well as people here, right here in Hamilton, and we're very grateful for that. And we're able to do all this because of all of you. So we're very grateful and thankful to everybody who supports the Emerald Foundation. This is all of your support going to our kids. And so I just want to kind of give a quick report on what we've been able to do this year, and then we'll go into the actual presentation. So Mr. Ellis, I think you're doing this for me. I'm just speaking. So if you want to go to the first the slide that has our grants on it, that would be where we would start.
Right there.
Sure, I am making sure that yes, thank you. So we have granted about a dozen, well, more, because some of these were doubled up, but grants this year totaling $36,143.25. I believe all of that going to grants that were applied for by members, staff, and faculty of the Hamilton Central School District. A number of these grants were pandemic related, in that we started last year knowing that the school had some serious needs in terms of how we're going to go remote, how we're gonna eventually have students be back in the building, and how could we help that happen safely. So we asked the school district, what do they need, and Mr. Dowsland was very helpful in sharing with what those needs were, and I think he's going to speak about that a little bit, so I won't steal his thunder. But we made about a $19,000 grant back in last September. That most of that was for pandemic related items, and we were very happy to be able to help the district get on its feet as far as addressing the pandemic. And that was something we were very, very proud and happy to do. We've been, I can't believe it, but we've been doing this for 15 years. We started in 2006. We've granted over $515,000. A lot of that, most of that, to the school district for the students. But we do support organizations as well that have who have an impact on the students of the Hamilton Central School District as well. So why don't we move to the first item, which was a grant requested by Oshred Helfant for a I can't even pronounce this, the spectrophotometer in her classroom. And Oshred, do you want to talk about this, and we can play a very special video?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Astrid Helfand, and I've gotten actually multiple grants from the Hamilton Emerald Foundation. You can hear me all right, and you can see me all right? Okay. And I really wanted to say how grateful I am for having gotten these funds. I taught for 14 and a half years at Oneida, and it took me, that's my cat's tail, it took me many, many years to establish what I've been able to do here at Hamilton in less than 2 years, thanks to the Hamilton Emerald Foundation. They do have a foundation in Oneida, but I've witnessed how well the Hamilton Emerald Foundation is funded and how generous they've been, and I just wanted to express my gratitude. So this particular grant was for a spectrophotometer, which Aiden is going to explain in his video, but very briefly, it just helps in particular with the AP chemistry program, but I plan to try and use it in my regular chemistry class next year as well, so that we don't limit it to just the few kids that are in the AP program. So I'd say go ahead and play. I think Heather might have included Aiden's longer clip where he explains it.
I'm Aiden Helfont. I'm a senior at Hamilton Central School, and right now I am in Astrid Helfont's classroom. I am taking AP Chemistry as well as AP Biology, but the device that we're going to be looking at today is a mass photospectrophotometer, and that is what we mostly use in AP Chemistry. Now, what this is actually used for, and the way you use it, is you put a solution in a little glass tube like this, and then you'll put it in the device, close it, turn it on, do all that stuff. And what the thing actually does is it'll put some light rays through the actual glass tube. And it measures how much of the light rays that go into the glass tube actually come out and go through. So you're basically measuring the absorbance of the light. So the more absorbance, the more light didn't go through the glass tube because the actual solution is blocking it from going through. So what is that actually used for? Well, it lets us track the concentration of something in a reaction, which is obviously a massive part of kinetics in AP Chemistry, because in order to determine the kinetics of something, you need to look at the concentrations at various time points throughout a reaction, which is only able to be done experimentally, because that's how you're going to figure out the rate constant, you know, the rate orders of the actual things in the reaction. So it's been super fun to actually use this throughout AP Chemistry, and it was super helpful in one of our labs. Actually, we did like a whole 5 set of solutions, and we figured out the reaction orders and reaction speeds based on the mass spectrophotometer absorbances. So.
So I think that was it. There might be another photo of it, but I think this might be it. So thank you again.
I'm a senior at Hamilton Central.
There we go.
Astrid, you should be very proud.
Thank you, Andrew.
Next up is Mr. Coldren to talk about bell covers, face masks, and instrument bags. And they're not what you think they are. So I will let Mr. Coldren take it away.
Hi, my name is Mike Coldren. I teach band at Hamilton, and I wanted to thank the Emerald Foundation for their very generous gift of the bell covers, face masks, and instrument bags. When the pandemic first hit, all the students had to be 6 feet apart in the classrooms, but band and chorus had to be 12 feet apart from each other because of all the expectorants that might come out of someone when they're playing their instrument or singing. And that was possible for us to rehearse. It was possible, but all the students had to be 12 feet apart from each other. The only space that we could rehearse was the auditorium, which meant that I was standing on stage and there were actually students in the back row against the back wall of the auditorium. I could not see their faces. I could not really hear what they were playing. There was a time delay with all the sound coming from the back of the auditorium. We were never together. It's very challenging when you have the students spaced out like that. But since the restrictions have rescinded a little bit, and with the generous gift for the equipment that you've provided, we are, as you can see in the picture, we are able to be in the band room. The students are using the face masks and the bell covers and the instrument bags, and I can actually see the kids and interact with the kids. I can hear what they're playing, and things are a lot better. And that's all because of the equipment that you guys provided. So thank you so much for doing that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh,
I think we can, unless we want to hear Mr. Coldren again, I think we can.
okay.
We can see this video.
It's pretty the same thing I just said.
Along the lines of music, we also did a grant for repairing some of the string instruments in our string instrument collection for the orchestra. And so, you know, our feeling was that no student should not be able to participate in music or in playing an instrument for lack of finances to do so. So I'll let Dawn Giddings take it away.
Thank you so much. So the objective of the string instrument project was to repair a large number of school-owned string instruments so we can offer those instruments to students to borrow for the academic year for free. Some instrument rentals can cost $15 a month or more, which can be expensive for families with financial hardships and may deter some from joining the program. So we sent out 19 instruments to Oneida Music back in February, and they have worked very hard to get our instruments back to us and in great working condition. Many of these instruments were missing parts that are essential to playing the instrument, so our options for students that wanted to borrow were limited. At this time last year, we had 3 broken cellos just sitting on the instrument rack, never being played. And now those cellos are being used right now by some of our returning elementary students that decided to rejoin us for the 4th quarter, and they are loving it and remembering everything they learned. And it's just so great to see them all playing again. With the generous support of the Emerald Foundation, 19 of our school-owned instruments are now in great working condition and are available for student use. As of today, we have 39 beginner string students signed up for the next school year, including many students that wish to borrow an instrument. And the picture you see on the slide represents the number of students that have expressed interest in borrowing next year. We have about 11 students that want to borrow, and because of your generous offer and your help with us, those students will be able to play. So thank you so much, Emerald Foundation. Thank you for investing in the music education of our students.
Thank you, Dawn. That's terrific. Mr. Dowsland, will you be talking about the Clorox sprayer and some of the other items for pandemic use?
Actually, Mr. Crum will talk about the Clorox spray.
Okay, great.
Yes. Hi, Andrew. Thank you. Hello, everybody. 15 years, as Andrew said, from the Emerald Foundation, and the numbers speak for themselves. Most of the grants that have been awarded have provided wonderful enrichment opportunities to students, have been wonderful in supporting our faculty and staff in delivering instruction or those enrichment opportunities. This instance, this particular item was a bit unique and was a direct result of the needs that we had as a result of the COVID pandemic. So, I really think that this is a perfect example of the Emerald Foundation really understanding the difficulties we were facing and being open to provide whatever it was that we needed to move forward with the school year this year. As you know, as part of our reopening plan, so much of our time and efforts of our buildings and grounds crew was focused on the areas that were occupied by students regularly, cleaning direct contact areas like desks when there was a change in cohorts, on top of all the regular cleaning that had to be done when school was dismissed each day. What the Clorox 360 electrostatic spraying machine allowed us to do was target larger, typically more communal areas more efficiently and more quickly. So as an example, in the bathrooms, in the cafeteria, locker rooms, even school buses, at times when school was not active and not in session, these machines allowed us to use the electrostatic technology. If you're not familiar with them, it's sort of a misting mechanism that provides more of a universal coverage on all surface areas. So as an example, if you're standing around a desk using the electrostatic sprayer, the mist particles sort of wrap around the structure underneath, on the side, on top of the surface. And it was during times that we were able to let that sit. So there wasn't a direct contact risk with students or the changing cohorts. So this was something that students probably didn't even know was going on, but was very important and very vital in allowing us to get through this year as we have. So again, it's wonderful that most of these grants directly impact students. And we hope that we can return to that next year and in the future. But it's, again, this really shows the Emerald Foundation's, it really shows that they're interested in helping us out and doing whatever it takes to help us operate. So thank you, Andrew, and thank you, members of the foundation, for consideration of this unique item.
You're welcome, and thank you. You know, it was something we really felt we needed help with.
Kevin, if you would, go ahead and show the video, because it gives a good indicator of what this machine can do and how efficient it is in cleaning large mass areas.
In the room here, you can see the size of this room. We have two Clorox 360 machines. Melanie here is starting to clean over in the corner here. She's just lightly spraying over all the furniture. A room this size would take probably less than 5 minutes to clean. With the Clorox 360, it's got a quick kill time, so the teacher and kids could get back in here in less than a minute if they needed to. And this has become a normal weekly routine of cleaning all classrooms like this. And it works really well, and all of our cleaning staff are really happy with using this equipment, and it makes things a lot easier for our staff clean-wise. Doesn't leave any residue on any of the furniture. And she's just about done.
Thank you.
Matt, are you presenting the wireless microphones as well?
That'll be Chris, Andrew.
I think that's Chris.
Okay. Sorry.
That'll be me.
Yeah. Well, this I thought was a terrific grant, just because I know how difficult it is for teachers to, you know, when they're trying to present remotely to students who are also remote, or they're presenting in the class to students who are remote. And I know that's often that's a really difficult thing to do. So we were glad to be able to help out with this to make to alleviate some of that.
Yeah, I think you did a nice job explaining it, Andrew. One of the things that we knew was going to be a challenge was our hybrid schedule, in that in a number of places, particularly in the middle high school, but also in the elementary school, teachers would be simultaneously teaching students who were present in front of them, and also remote, away at home and on the computers. So students or teachers still needed a way to be able to move around the room and have the people at home able to hear them. So we looked for some microphones that would be compatible with our computer devices. And it took us a little while actually to find something that was compatible with Mac, but we eventually did, and we had a number of teachers using them. If you go to the next slide, Mr. Ellis, you'll see I've got a picture of Miss Hanson using them. She's got the kids there in front of her, and also kids on the computer. That's the microphone there, one of them, hanging from around her lanyard. As we've had more and more students shift back to all in person, we have less of a need for the microphones for this purpose, but we are repurposing them. I don't know if everybody knows, but we've got quite a burgeoning video production, mainly the technology club that Dr. Helfont is spearheading. Is quite active now. We've repainted a room with a green screen, and we are broadcasting live announcements on Mondays and Fridays, along with a lot of other events, such as college sports signings and things like that. So we've been able to repurpose these wireless microphones for video production and recording. And on the next slide, I've got just a little clip from one of our broadcasts. This is where we announced the valedictorian and salutatorian.
Tech Club meeting today, Friday, 5/21, during middle school and high school lunch.
That is the microphone there between them in the center.
We need script writers, script readers, and editors to make this happen. All middle school and high school students are welcome if interested in joining in this final tech feat of the academic year.
Modified softball played their first game of the season last night and beat New York Mills 16-7. Lexi LaFrance pitched all 7 innings, striking out 8 and only had 1 walk. At the plate, the Knights were strong with 13 hits, including a double from both Caitlin Simpson and Sofia Juarez. Great game. Practice today at 3.
So that was just a little clip, but the kids have been very excited. We've got some very, very excited middle school students who are really interested in video production, who have taken over for Mr. Larson and myself, running it every time we do the broadcast. So this technology is going to be put to good use at Hamilton for a long time. So we sincerely thank the Emerald Foundation.
Thanks, Chris.
Sure.
And now we return more to the academic side, where we did a series of grants regarding reading, and so I think the Heather Thomas, I think you're presenting this one, and we thank you.
So what you see up on the screen here is a quote from Renee Merck, who is the 3rd grade teacher. And she really succinctly explained how much the reading and writing virtual units of study helped her to support hybrid learning this year. So these resources provided mini lessons for reading and writing that followed our units of study, which we typically teach. And they allowed students to view the mini lesson at home or in school. So teachers used them in a variety of ways, so they were very flexible in how they were able to adapt them to whatever environment students were in at that particular time. Another side note that was really helpful was that they could be used as professional development as well. So a lot of teachers reported that they would watch these units of studies and watch a master teacher from Columbia present the information. And then if they were in front of their own class in an in-person environment, they presented it themselves, but had just been able to view a master teacher teach them. So, it was definitely something that provided support to students in our during the course of the entire year this year, but it also provided support for teachers as well. So we thank you so much for this.
Heather, if you don't mind, I'll add to that too. I have the opportunity to view some of the lessons in the class and talk to the teachers. One of the things that comes out of this that we didn't even think of, but which is a benefit going forward if we're all back, is if a teacher's out for whatever reason and needs a substitute teacher, the lesson can still go on as planned for that day. The sub can come in and actually do the virtual lesson. So another benefit.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's great, and a lot and shows it's a lot. There's a lot of versatility that you can take advantage of there. So that's fantastic. Do we want to show, Heather? Do you want to do? Should we show the video? Is there more?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing. We'd like to thank you for the Teacher College virtual reading and writing lessons. These were very beneficial. On our virtual learning days, we were certain that each student had access to the same lessons. These lessons were concise and allowed for more independent work.
We also found the teacher tips from the staff developers to be beneficial for conferring. Thank you for your continued support.
We also supported grants for adding to the classroom libraries in the 2nd grade. And I know we've done grants like this in the past, and to be able to provide books that are at the right level for each student is, I think, really important. So Heather, you're welcome to take it away.
Actually, so this is a project that Kevin started a couple of years ago, and then following this slide, Allison and Susan give some really good ideas of how they utilize them in the classroom. So Kevin, I don't know if you want to add to that a little bit.
Yeah, so 3 years ago we started this with kindergarten. Came to us. Actually, many of the teachers that come to us and were, our classroom libraries were starting to weather, so to speak. We had purchased large quantities of classroom books about 10 years ago now, and the kids had used them. So to replenish these books, and there are hundreds of books in each kit, and it's costly. So what we decided to do was start in kindergarten and then work our way up. So 3 years ago, kindergarten had their books replenished, second grade or first grade 2 years ago, and then last year, second grade. And the Hamilton Emerald Foundation has been very generous in this endeavor. They give us funds for one of the libraries, and then the school matches the funds for the other library. And I'll play that video clip.
Hi, everyone at the Emerald Fund. Susan White and I just wanted to thank you for our latest grant. The grant provided both of our classrooms with a set of books. We were able to pick from 2, and Susan picked.
So I have the Teachers College Reading and Writing Workshop Books, Classroom Library.
And I have the Fontes and Pinnell Leveled Reader for the primary grades.
Yeah, so we're very excited to put these into our classroom library. So mine is a little bit differently set up than Mrs. Farrar's. So mine has leveled books, it has books of interest, it has series books, it has a lot of duplicates, so kids can partner read together. I can pull kids for small groups, whereas Allison's has more leveled books for kids.
So mine would be appropriate for small reading groups, where I would pull small groups that are at a certain reading level, and we would focus on a certain concept or skill or strategy as we work together throughout the week on that book. So that's why there's multiples of each book, so that we can have the small groups. And Susan and I both picked each a different one, so that we could each use each other's libraries in our rooms and borrow from each other.
Yeah, and we just wanted to talk about the importance of having a variety of books in your classroom. It can help to increase motivation and engagement in students. It helps to support our literacy instruction. A lot of the reading workshop goes along with the lessons that we're teaching, and a lot of the phonics leveled readers that Allison has goes along with our foundations lessons. So it just pairs up perfectly. We also it's just great for kids to be introduced to a whole multitude of books, whether it's nonfiction or fiction or series. It just gives them the choice, and then they can find those just right books for them to become independent, lifelong learners and readers. So thank you so much for this opportunity. It's greatly appreciated.
Very much. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone at the Emerald Fund.
Thank you. We, for the past couple of years, have been working with Jamie Boardway on and others at the school to think about food insecurity within our community, and in particular for our students and their families. It's a big issue, and it's one that I think can be helped in some way just by providing the funds and getting the food and then finding a way to get it to the families. And I'm really pleased that we've been able to do this. I think we did 2 grants for this night pack program this year. I think we did one last year when we first started it, and I'll let Jamie take it away, but we were really happy to be able to do this again this year, and hopefully there may be a little left over to help out this summer as well, from what I understand.
Is there a video for that?
I think, yes, there it is.
Hi, my name is Jamie Boardway, and I am one of the faculty members involved in the Weekend Night Pack program. I wanted to start by thanking the Emerald Foundation for their continued support. We are currently concluding our 2nd year of the program.
This year presented many challenges and required all hands on deck. Despite not being able to get the WKP program up and running until November, we were still able to meet the needs of 38 students in grades pre-K through 12. Because of COVID restrictions, students were not able to put together the weekend night packs. Therefore, the program could not have been a success without the real MVPs, our support staff, who packed bags most weeks and delivered them to homes on Wednesday's material drop-off. Despite all of these challenges, I'm so happy to report that we did not miss a single bi-weekly delivery. Thank you again to all involved. I want to just take a moment to show you an example of what one of our packs contains. First, we have some examples of our breakfast. We have these little kits of cereal, juice, and a breakfast bar. We also send students home with some oatmeal and a Pop-Tart. They get 2 breakfasts every weekend. For lunch, some of the options are some mac and cheese and some ravioli. And students are also given 4 snacks to enjoy over the weekend. So thanks again for your support. Take care. Hi.
I just want to also recognize the food service staff as well because I know they're instrumental in getting this put together. So thank you to them as well. I think this concludes the presentations. I just want to say thank you to all the grant winners this year for executing our grants so well and so effectively for the benefit of the students at HCS. And we're grateful to all the teachers and the staff at HCS, you, the Board of Education, and members of our community. We are my son graduates this year in the class of 21. So I've had a special connection to the school because I'm a parent. We also have on our board Michael Waltman, who's a HCS alum, Heather Seralou, who's also an HCS alum, Matt Hames, who's a HCS parent, and we just welcomed Jill Baker, another HCS alumna, to the Hamilton Emerald Foundation board just earlier this year. So we are just pleased to be able to work together on behalf of the students of the community, and look forward to providing more support for many, many years in the future. So thank you all so much for the opportunity to present to you tonight.
Andrew, thank you so much on behalf of the board, the administration, the faculty and staff. We can't say thank you enough to you and the board of the Emerald Foundation and the donors. The level of support financially that you provide to us, especially during this year of pandemic, has been tremendous. And tonight is just a little snippet of what you've been able to provide to this district, and we can't say thank you enough. So on behalf of everybody involved, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank those that joined us this evening for presentations. You are more than welcome to stay on and join us for the rest of our meeting. But if things, in life are a little bit more interesting and you have things to do, you are also welcome to jump off. We do appreciate your time during the day and here in our meeting. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up on our agenda, we move to 6.1, which is personnel. We will do the appointments and such individually tonight. So I need a motion to accept the resignation of Heather Thomas as an elementary reading teacher effective June 30th, 2021, as recommended by the superintendent.
Move.
Second.
Any discussion would be in exec. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to accept the resignation of Sally Howick as an elementary special education teacher effective June 24th, 2021, as recommended by the elementary principal and superintendent, with sincere appreciation for services rendered to the district.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion would be an executive session. Thank you so much. All of those in favor?
Aye.
All right. I need a motion to approve the appointment of Heather Thomas as a probationary elementary principal effective July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, as recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move.
I'll move. I'll second.
Any discussion would be an executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Welcome aboard for
Yay.
this position.
Thank you.
I need a motion to approve the appointment of Michael Jones as probationary social studies teacher effective September 1, 2021 at step 1.5 of the salary schedule as recommended by the secondary principal and superintendent.
Move.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion would be an exec session. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome to him as well. Motion to approve the appointment of Rachel Frisch. Did I say her name right? I hope so. As probationary elementary reading teacher effective September 1, 2021 at step 1 of the salary schedule as recommended by the elementary principal and superintendent.
I'll move. No, second.
Discussion would be an exec. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do I need a motion to approve the following elected appointed officials for workdays as recommended by the superintendent? And they are listed.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. I need a motion to approve the administrator and confidential salaries for 2021-2022 school year as recommended by the superintendent.
Move.
A second.
Discussion would be an exec session. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I had to flip my page. Hold on. I need a motion to approve the following staff for the 2021 summer school program as recommended by the elementary principal and superintendent. And they are all listed, and we had added a few in the beginning of the meeting.
I'll move.
I'll move. I'll second.
Any discussion?
I think I need to abstain from this one, given the addition.
Okay. I thank everybody for taking on a summer role. It's really important. I know you've all worked really hard this year, as everybody has, but thank you for stepping up to the plate for this one.
Yes, thank you so much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstained. There we go. I need a motion to approve a leave of absence for Victoria Kowalski for child rearing purposes with the tentative dates of September 1 through October 22 of 2021 as recommended by the elementary principal and superintendent.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion other than congratulations on your second?
Great.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are to 6.2. I need a motion to approve the recommendations of the CSE or and CPSE. If I could have that motion.
Move.
Second.
Second.
Discussion for that would be an exec session. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the class certification list for graduation contingent on each member completing all graduation requirements.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Am I allowed to vote on this, or do I need to abstain?
No, you can vote on
Okay.
this one.
Just want to make sure.
Yes. Congratulations to all.
Yeah.
Great,
Congratulations.
great work.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion and potential recommendations for moving to. We've got non-resident tuition. Andrew is right above Bill on my thing here. So Bill, I'll turn it over to you for this one.
Yeah, so we need to discuss tuition rates for our non-district students. So typically we've done a 2% increase yearly. Last year for previously grandfathered students and siblings, the rate was $3,779 per student. So a 2% increase on that would take that to $3,855. So that's the rate we would hold for our grandfathered students. And then for all other applicants, the current rate is $5,952 per student, with a 2% increase on top of that would be $6,071 per student.
Any discussion?
What's the timeline for those that are grandfathered versus those that aren't?
As far as what, Ellen? I'm sorry.
Well, so I guess how is somebody grandfathered versus
Current students, they're already in.
Okay.
When will the last grandfathered student, what year does there become no grandfathered students?
That's the question.
Year.
Next
Okay.
year.
Next year?
Yep.
Okay. That was the question. Thank you, Travis.
I knew where you're going. Last year's board approved a 2% hike, right?
Yes.
And this stays pretty consistent with what the tax base increases every year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Are we good to move to a motion?
Yes.
All right, then I need a motion to approve the 2021-2022 non-resident tuition rate.
I'll move.
I'll second.
We just had discussion, but do we have any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I need a motion to ratify the agreement between the Hamilton Teachers Association and the superintendent dated July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2025, as recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion? Can we have discussion on this? I don't think we can.
I'm just gonna say thank you to all involved.
Yeah, thank you.
That's good discussion.
Not really discussion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to ratify the agreement between the local 200 US SEIU and the superintendent dated July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2025, as recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Discussion? Again, thank you to all involved. Wonderful job. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. We are on to policy 6.7. Policy, we got a first read. It's a discussion for policies 1012 and 1030. I will turn it over to the policy committee, who is much more knowledgeable on this than I, and I am grateful for that. So it's your turn.
We have a good time. You're missing out. Much time was spent on the volunteers policy. Corey and Harry especially put in a lot of hard work and thought into this one. This revised policy would address concerns I have raised earlier in the year over unsupervised volunteers. It also updates the application process. And the policy 1030, minor changes.
Yeah, with 1012, I think the big thing we want to do is add a little bit more flexibility, especially when the administrators are working with groups from outside. So instead of having to vet every single person, for example, if say a group of students comes from Colgate, we can trust that they're vetted by the organizations representing Colgate. And, the principal can then work with a representative from that group instead of having to work with every individual volunteer that comes through.
They look like very good updates. Any other discussion on either one? Okay, thank you guys for your continued work on these policies. We've really done a lot this year in the policy world and much appreciated. I'm going to now turn it over to Mr. Daslin and Mr. Crum. They will give us a presentation and we can have a discussion on the federal funds. So gentlemen, it's all you.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm going to present my screen and Matt and I can talk you through this. Let me just. Okay, we're there. Everybody see my screen?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So as we discussed last month, the district has been fortunate enough to be awarded federal funding, and these are grants that we need to apply for. There's very specific language. They're very targeted. The administrative team has been meeting weekly to discuss how we can appropriately spend this money, if you will. And it's very targeted, and a lot of the focus is on learning loss. And so we've put together a plan that we'd like to present to you tonight. I'll turn it over to Matt to talk through some of the particulars and then open it up for questions.
Sure. Bill, you can go to the next slide. Just before we get into the details, I want to thank our team. The last couple of weeks, it's been pretty intense. We've had some pretty intense discussion. They've gotten a crash course because these grants are going to be accounted for in the special aid fund, and it is through a grant application process. They've gotten a crash course on FS10 budget forms and narratives and sort of what it's like to be a business official on a day-to-day basis. So they've been patient. I appreciate their help in getting through this. This CRRSA, CRRSA, is actually the second round of federal stimulus monies. The first round was the CARES Act, which was a smaller amount of about $66,000. That was money that we expended in this current school year, and we will have those projects closed out by the end of this school year. So we're all done with CARES. CRRSA is the next round, and then ARPA funds are the biggest round, and that's the most recent federal grant that was approved. But what I learned about this probably since the last board meeting, when this came out in April, we were, I believe, even in the last board meeting in May, we were still awaiting guidance. We weren't sure of the timeline. We found out that the application for the CRRSA funds, which for Hamilton is $486,000 or so, the application is due June 15th of 2021. And business officials, school officials kind of thought, geez, why is that application due so quickly? And what we found out is that the states, all of the states have requirements, time-sensitive requirements to the federal government, that they have to report to the federal government within 1 year of these grants being approved, how the state is going to expend the monies. The CRRSA grant was actually approved in December of 2020. This was the first round of funding that was included in the governor's executive proposal in January. But districts weren't given any information until about a month ago. So the reason these applications are due June 15th is because the state has to review 600 plus applications from all the schools and report to the federal government within a year of the approval date. So the state now has about 6 months to approve all of these grants and report it to the federal government, or else they are at risk of losing funding. Ironically, and I find this kind of funny, I've been pushing and pushing and pushing, and I was hesitant if I would even share this, especially to our team. But Bill and I got an email today about 4:30 saying that they've extended the deadline to June 30th. So, but we are moving forward anyway.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, these are going to be approved on a rolling basis as they come in. So we're going to get it in the hopper anyway. We know how these things go. So the funding period for the grant is actually you can go back to March 13th of 2020, which was the dreaded day in which the schools really made their announcements of closure with COVID. Fortunately for us, we are not in a situation where we need to apply any of this funding to any incurred expenses dating back to last March. So that's good news. I do know that other districts that are in some fiscal troubles are looking for expenses they incurred related to COVID and trying to apply it to this program retroactively, if you will, so they can alleviate the pressure on their general fund budgets. So the good thing for us is this is going to be all new things for us starting July 1 of 2021 next month. The challenge with this grant is you're submitting one application. There's actually two pools of money within the SRSA grant. We're submitting one application for what amounts to be a little over 2 years in time frame. So it's for us, although the funding period can go back to March of 2020, the funds for us will be expended between July 1 of 21 and September 30th of 2023. So if all goes well tonight, I have everything locked and loaded and ready to go, and I'll be submitting our application tomorrow. You can go to the next slide, Bill. Now, as far as the planned usage, and this is where we spent hours over the last couple of weeks trying to identify, sticking to what was allowable, how we can use these funds. The biggest thing that we're going to do is we're going to add an FTE, a teaching position to our staff for the 21-22 and the 22-23 school year. The exact title of that position and the duties are going to be determined probably at some point over the summer, and I'll let Bill get into the details on that. One of the things that they're stressing with this is cautioning districts to expend the monies in a way that when they are exhausted, it's not going to be a burden on schools. We're pretty confident with the adding of just one teaching position that within the next 2 years, we'll be able to absorb this position through attrition. The next big piece is summer staff development and training during the next 3 summers. So while the FTE is only for the next 2 full school years because the funding needs to be expended by September of 23, we do have 3 full summers or off seasons, if you will, to play with. So we will be doing extensive staff development and training during the summer months of 2021, 22, and 23. That will include paying our teachers to come in and do trainings over each of the next 3 summers. I'll let Bill get into the details. We have a pretty good idea of some of the trainings we're going to need to do this summer. By the summer of 23, who knows? But we're going to be prepared, and we have funding in place to deal with that. Professional development and training for new hires. Again, I'll let the instructional experts weigh in on that. But with the turnover in faculty this year, with the 6 retirements, we do have new hires coming in that are ready to learn, and we're excited to have the opportunity to send them to trainings to be ready with best practices as they enter the building in September. Additional professional development and training that's identified as we move through the project. As I just said, there are probably trainings that will be required in 2022 and 23 that we don't even know. They're not even on the radar yet. And then lastly, all the employee benefits that are related to the additional wages. So the employee benefits of the new hire, also the employee benefits of any of the wages that we pay our existing staff for summer PD and training. So, and as you know, salaries and benefits is really the meat of when you get into these things, where the expenses are. So these are all new things that weren't budgeted for, but will allow us to do basically over the next 3 summers, and having that additional teacher, the full-time equivalent for the next 2 full school years. And lastly, I think there's one more slide. One more, Bill?
Yep.
Okay. So what's next? I can't stress enough, and we talked about this within the team. There's going to be the need for a lot of flexibility and a lot of patience with both the SRSA funding and the ARP funding. We're submitting a budget for a lot of money for a 3-year span. A lot's going to change. That's okay. With these grants, we do have the option to submit budget amendments to move money around as needed to assess our needs. How the state is going to deal with over 600 applications of SRSA funds and corresponding budget amendments, and then ARPA funds, which are even more money that's coming, I'm not real sure, but we need to be patient. So again, it's one application now for more than 2 years time period. We're going to have to be flexible and be ready to adjust. So I'm confident just in the way the conversations have been in our meetings. I think we're going to be able to do that. We'll be fine. Again, we will need to adjust. ARP funds are coming at some point. We know that the ARPA funds have the provisions where there's a requirement for summer programming and after school programming. So the summer programming that we're going to implement this year will ultimately be funded through the ARP funds. The application's not available yet. That funding wasn't approved, I don't have the exact date, until later on. So that sort of year window that the state has to report back to the federal government will be later. So my guess is probably within a couple months we'll have details on the ARP funding. So really for the next 3 years, the ARP goes one more year, so it's September of 24. Throughout the budget process, it's going to be real important to coordinate the SRSA funds, the ARP funds, and the general operating budget. It's going to be real important to coordinate the efforts and the planning for all three of those different pots of money. So with that, I'm guessing Bill and perhaps Mark and Heather and even Chris and Kevin probably add a little bit to some of the details on the plan funds. If there's any questions on sort of the general grant process, I'll hang tight and be ready to address that as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I would like to just start off talking about the addition of one FTE. And we've talked extensively as a team of what that position would look like. And we've narrowed it down to 2 areas. With the unknown of what the fall is going to look like as far as our obligation to provide remote instruction, if we are in that position that we are obligated to provide remote instruction and we have families that opt for that, we have identified that it's really important to hire somebody that can address those remote students and not have our teachers do both again this year. We just think from a delivery of instruction, from an in-person delivery of instruction, and from a remote delivery of instruction, it would be advantageous and beneficial to have this hire, if we're in that position, be the person that delivers remote instruction. So that would be our first identified need. Our second identified need, if we don't have that remote option, would be a staff member to address targeted academic interventions to account for loss of learning. So those are our two priorities, if you will, for this position. So either A or B as far as what we would look for. Mark, Heather, Kevin, anything you want to add to that? If not, I'll move on.
Bill, can I just ask a follow-up question to that?
You sure can.
So that's great that we could possibly use to hire a full-time teacher. But it kind of sparks some alerts because the future is unknown. I would just want to make sure that that's a fiscally safe thing to do, knowing that the future financial circumstances are unknown. I know, Matt, you said that we'd likely be able to make it up through attrition. And I've seen creative ways that it's been able to happen in the past, but what if a teacher retires down the road that teaches X, but this new hire is for Y? You'd still have to hire a teacher to replace the last one.
Yeah, that's
But we're also not, in this scenario, it's not saying we're promising anything past that year of 23. So it's
yeah,
not
but
saying
wouldn't the teacher be on a tenure track?
you can hire a non-tenure track teacher.
Okay.
Yep. But those are concerns that we've discussed. It's tough to plan for this money in these programs 2 and 3 years down the road because we just don't know.
Right.
Hopefully we'll be able to absorb through attrition or some other creative ways. If not, we'll have to address that at the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong there. I just, my concern would be the scenario that I laid out.
Yeah.
But I'm fine.
Yep.
Thank you for explaining that.
You're welcome. Summer staff development and training. We are looking at some evidence-based training. We all know that DEI is going to be required. That's going to be part of our framework. So we're looking at addressing some institutional instructional inequities and moving forward with our DEI framework. I'll talk about this when I get to my report, but I have signed our administrative team up for a year-long study with Syracuse University around the work of DEI. We're looking at, through our PDP team, our professional development team, it was loud and clear that technology training is a real need. So Chris, if you would share what the work you've done as far as soliciting and securing some technology training for the summer.
So the PDP committee was very specific in that, as the board knows, we've just recently spent our smart bonds money, or a significant portion of our smart bonds money, upgrading the interactive whiteboard technology in all the classrooms. So now all of the classrooms have got brand new Promethean boards in them. And on the PDP committee, the teachers expressed that they could really benefit from some targeted, specific, and some professionals from Promethean coming out here for some professional development. So I got in contact with Promethean, the company. They do offer an intensive 1-day, 8-hour on-site professional development, and it's actually a pretty reasonable cost. So that's something that we're going to be taking on probably near the end of August.
Thanks, Chris.
Sure.
Heather and Mark, would you talk a little bit about professional development and training for our new hires this summer?
Sure. So we have several new elementary teachers coming on, and it is really important that we continue the work that we have started in the elementary, specifically with the reading and writing units of study. So although we have some veteran teachers here that can provide daily mentoring for these teachers while they're implementing these units of study, I really feel that it's a great opportunity to start off your career with really solid training so that you understand the curriculum that you're working with. Sometimes the staff development that you can have from Columbia is at such a high level that it just is also inspiring and really will be a boost for new teachers coming in to continue the work that we have really established here at Hamilton. So I'm really excited that we'll be able to offer these teachers this opportunity. We have some staff members that have been with us for a few years that just haven't had the opportunity to do that professional development, and we would be able to include them in these offerings as well. One of the things that's a little bit different right now, and it's actually advantageous to us, is that a lot of these trainings are offered in a virtual format. So we can participate in them without having to actually travel to New York City, which then will cut down the cost. So that is, I think that's a plus. The negative part of it is that they're not there to absorb the environment, and maybe, you know, the interactions with other educators might be a little bit different. But, you know, the hope would be potentially down the line that, you know, maybe in the following summer, there might be some in-person types of situations they can participate into. But I'm really excited that they'll have that opportunity to just feel solid in that particular curriculum. So likewise, we have the Orton Gillingham training that we have provided, the level 1 training for some special education teachers. We have some interest in our staff in doing the comprehensive one, which is kind of the intermediate training, which is the level 2 training. And so that will also be really helpful, especially for students that need Orton Gillingham type of instruction in our intermediate grades. So, and that's something that they have asked for really since the beginning, since the first time we had the initial training. Additionally, there is, with the new hire of the reading teacher, there is also a virtual Fountas and Pinnell Institute that I'd be excited. I know I benefited from that as a reading teacher initially, and that really helped me to frame a lot of the work that I did as well. And then again, we have another reading colleague here to provide that mentoring on a daily basis, but you know, to provide her with that solid training in advance. So a lot, you know, this really comes at a perfect point, I feel, with the new hires, to give them just the super solid curriculum piece as they begin their careers here at Hamilton.
Yeah, in the secondary, you know, some of the Orton Gillingham stuff could apply there as well. And we have one new hire coming in, and hopefully this will be able to provide a good base for that teacher as they come into their first year at HCS in the science department, and provide an opportunity for them to collaborate with their colleagues and get off on the right foot. I've kind of thought about throughout the year, maybe not quite this summer, but as this kind of goes along, you know, being able to provide opportunities for PLC development and having teachers get together and work on different curricular materials together as a group, as a team. And so I'm very, very hopeful of this opportunity and what it'll do for us.
Bill,
Thanks.
do you mind if I jump back in real quick?
Sure, go right ahead.
I want to piggyback a little bit off of Travis's comment. He's right on, and as Bill said, Travis, it's something we talked about at length, and we don't ever want to put ourselves in a situation that you alluded to. One of the things that's advantageous for us in this scenario, the allowable uses of funding for the SRSA funds and eventually the ARP funds beyond the required summer programming, after school programming, but even when it comes to learning loss, it's very broad. A lot of districts, or I suppose many, and I suspect a lot, will be using this for one-time purchases, a lot of capital improvements and things that they aren't able to absorb in their operating budgets, or if they don't have a capital project going on. The timing for us, we're fortunate in that we've been able to address a lot of that through our capital project. And we think we're going to be able to funnel most of this money toward initiatives that directly impact students and faculty and staff, and not, you know, the physical plant. You wouldn't believe the emails that we're getting daily from salespeople that know that schools, this funding is available for schools, for, you know, even vendors that we've worked with on our capital project are licking their chops, trying to get us to do more. So when you think about that thought of, you know, if we do have trouble with attrition, ultimately, I think what we ended up at was, even if that's the worst case scenario, we got 2 years of a professional addressing kids immediately, rather than that gap widening, and instead of, you know, putting up a couple cameras that will just sit there. So, I think ultimately we're in a good place and we're able to steer these resources directly to things that impact kids and faculty.
I'm glad you're not using it on a mural.
Any other questions, or you need clarity on anything?
No, just
That's a-
thank you. It sounds
Yes.
like you have to be really good at Tetris at this, and this is all great. Thank you for all the explanations and work you've put into it.
You're welcome. It's been a great team effort.
Yeah, I just want to say I really appreciate this approach to it. I think you're right on with focusing as much as we can on students and also improving conditions and training for our staff. As you're doing this, I would just one thing that comes to mind is just documenting as much as possible the work that you're doing, because a lot of great work's going to be going into this, and I think communicating that out to the community about how much we're doing to rebound post-COVID, I think will be important for people to see and know about for those who aren't participating. So they see all the great, because it's going to be some, I'm sure, amazing things that happen. And I'd like to see that, well documented and well communicated out to everybody.
We can do that. Thank
We'll
you,
do
Corey.
it. Thanks, Corey. Now, the ARPA funds we anticipate, which is the next round, is the most significant chunk of money. We anticipate there being a more extensive community involvement for that, in terms of getting input from stakeholder groups. So more to come on that as we know more. But as I mentioned, as we get into the ARPA planning, we're going to lean heavily on what we've done through the SRSA funds and through the general fund. And yeah, I think you're right on. I think we're going to need to do that, and it's going to be important.
Kevin, anything you want to add from an SEL standpoint?
Nothing really new. One of the initiatives that we already were taking out before this money came along was looking for a social emotional learning program for elementary and perhaps middle school as well too. We already planned on meeting this summer to discuss that, look at our DESA results, and use that to help us purchase a system or a program. But with this money, it does give us a little more flexibility in what we can purchase and who we can plan with. And so, yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
I just want to comment
No,
really quick too and just say thank you. I was at the School Board Institute meeting on Monday, and this was something that got brought up a lot in executive session, and it seems like we are very much ahead of a lot of other districts. So again, I wanted to say thank you for all your time and effort in really putting this together really punctually, and appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen.
Bill, I think a lot of that goes to you and your administrative team. Matt, I think you were talking last meeting. Is it the ARPA funds that to best spend them, it's good to identify the needs of the district and plug them where applicable? And it sounds like that's what you guys are well on your way to being able to do. So that's good.
Yep, right on. Yep.
Thank you very much. Are we all set on 6.8? All right. We have, I need a motion to authorize HCS to donate excess library books to the Better World Books organization as recommended by the business manager and superintendent.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Discussion? Thank you guys for finding an organization that takes those. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's all Amy Jerome. Thank you to Amy. You'd be surprised. It's actually harder than you would think to find places that want excess books. And she has made a connection with this group. I believe there's a Dropbox in Utica somewhere. So it's nice. Once they're gone, you drop them off. So
that's great. Well, thank you,
they
Amy.
end up in good hands.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. I need a motion to approve Hamilton Central's participation in the Watervilles varsity football program during the 2021-2022 school year as recommended by the athletic director and superintendent.
Mo.
I just have to make a change. I should say varsity and modified.
That's what I was going to ask.
I was going to ask that as well.
Oh, yeah.
So since we haven't really done anything, I need a motion to approve Hamilton Central's participation in Waterville's modified and varsity football program during the 2021-2022 school year as recommended by the athletic director and superintendent.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion?
Do we know how many kids are participating?
I don't know right now.
I don't remember what we've done in the past. We don't provide busing, correct?
That's correct. They're on their own for transportation.
And this is all contingent on COVID and such.
Yes.
Okay.
Alan, I would expect we would have anywhere from 10 to 15 student athletes modified through varsity.
Okay.
That's great.
Thanks. It's been is it a pretty consistent flow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
My only other comment is thank you to Waterville.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I'll echo that as well.
Thank you so much, Waterville. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That brings us to the administrator's reports. I'm going to say if I duck out for a second, I'm just putting a child to bed. I'm sorry. I think he's going to do it by himself, but we're not sure. So if I disappear, it's not that I don't want to hear what you're saying. I just wanted to make sure I told you I was sorry ahead of time in case it happens. Let's start with Mark tonight.
Thank you. I am going to talk a little bit about our senior class, but before that, I did have an opportunity to, well, these are seniors too, but on May 26th, go over to BOCES and watch the New Visions presentations. Kerrigan Kelly and Jenna Rogers did an awesome job presenting their final project for their coursework, and it was very professional, very well put together program, and I was very impressed, and they did a wonderful job. AP exams, they were digital this year, and they went off pretty well. So thank you to Chris, Victoria Daou for all their work and helping our students with that process. We did have one exam that had some glitches with the computer, but overall, with our first run of full digital exams like that, I think it went off great. A lot going on in these, well, we have final exams next week, and then we're writing the Regents exams. And so a lot of planning. One thing this year that's a little bit different than previous years is a lot more final exams, and that's due to fewer Regents exams. And because of that, the counseling office really had to work hard to come up with a final exam schedule that allows us to meet all of our students' accommodations as well during this testing process. So that's, you know, I think that Travis brought up Tetris before, but that's just it's a huge puzzle of trying to get the personnel and the students matched up in proper spacing and creating the time necessary in order for students to take those exams. So they've done a wonderful job of that as well. Another thing kind of related to stuff that other people do, Chris Morgan and the Tech Club have worked really hard this year to get the morning announcements up and running. And they've done a wonderful job with that. And normally, at the end of each year, we're able to recognize our valedictorian and salutatorian in forum, but obviously this year we could not, but we're able to utilize the announcements that the Tech Club put together each morning, and we were able to bring the valedictorian and salutatorian in to recognize them there and bring their families in as well, so that we could have that traditional celebration, although not completely in a traditional environment. But I think that went really well, and all the students were able to watch it, you know, streamed live. So thank everybody for all their work with that. So now I get to get into the senior class. I'm going to just list the students and what their plans are. So we have 44 seniors graduating, and we'll start with Dora Ammerman, going to Mount Holyoke, International Relations and Foreign Language. Emma Basher, Cornell University, Agricultural Science and Animal Science. Zachary Bernard will be attending SUNY ESF, Construction Management. Leanna Boss is going to certificate school. I know she was in the criminal justice program at BOCES, and I believe she's looking for a certificate for security guard. Logan Campbell, Utica College for construction management. Santi Cardulis Watkins, Santa Clara, Art, Environmental Science and Design. Benjamin Coddington, Colgate University, Film and Media Studies. Henry Crespi, the University of Rochester, Japanese Language and Culture. Emily Delaney, Elmira College for nursing. Dylan Dion, SUNY Cobleskill, he's going to major in writing. Ginny Dion is entering into the Army. John Dudrick will be attending Siena College in entrepreneurship. William Egger, he's going to SUNY Morrisville for aquaculture. And if there's anybody that is going to be studying fish and being on the water, it's Billy Egger. He loves fishing and loves the water. Aiden Gibbons going to SUNY Delhi, Architecture and Building. Aiden Helfont, Cornell University, Biological and Nutritional Sciences. Sky Helfont, I'm going to mispronounce this, Utrecht University in the Netherlands. He's going to be looking at economics and business economics. I believe it's the Netherlands. Emily Holm, Bates College, undecided major. Blaine Hughes, Lemoyne College, undecided. Devin Jones, Trade School, Structural and Pipe Welding. JT Jones, James Jones, he's going into employment, heavy equipment. And if you want to talk about changing an axle on a big rig, he's somebody that can talk your ear off on all the process that goes into that. So I'm very excited for him. Kerrigan Kelly, Duquesne University, Sports Information and Media. Amir Kennedy, Siena College, Business. Ella Kenyon, Lafayette College, undecided major. Ryan Kirk is going into employment. Emily Conowitz, Wells College, Criminal Psychology. John Lowe is undecided. Cassandra Marks, Wells College, Psychology. Logan Niles is looking to go into employment for welding. Alyssa Perry is looking to join the Navy. Benjamin Pollock, Boston University. He got into a 6-year physical therapy program, accelerated program. Ava Robertson, University of New Haven, music industry. Lauren Rodriguez, Barnard College at Columbia University, majoring in business. We have Madison Rodriguez, Bucknell University, neuroscience. Jenna Rogers, Morrisville State College, nursing. Ryan Rutledge, SUNY Cortland, exercise science. Bryce Sharp Bollinger, University of Rochester, economics, East Asian studies. Hannah Stever, undecided. Corinne Tehan, Casanova College, Human Service and Mental Health. Timothy Terry will be joining the Air Force. Alicia Van Court, Casanova College, majoring in criminal justice and psychology. Seth Walden, Colgate University, undeclared. Max Wallace, SUNY Cobleskill, animal science, focusing on canine. Ben Wilcox, undecided college, but would like to major in business. Mason Wright is going into employment in the IT industry. So a lot of different paths, but I think that they've worked really hard and they have ideas in place and they're chasing out what they want to do. So I'm very proud of all these students and congratulations to all of them.
Congratulations to all of them. Wonderful. Heather?
Back up. Can I ask Mark a question real quick?
Yep, sorry.
Mark, that was very exciting to hear all the different directions that your students are going. It sounds like they're going here, there, and everywhere. What challenges has your counseling department had this year in helping students with their future plans, if they have had challenges at all?
I haven't heard of any specific challenges that would be abnormal. Obviously, not having the students in the building for the constant contact with the counseling department did make meetings sometimes difficult, but with this technology, they were still able to reach students that way and have discussions and help them plan things out. I know that some students because of last year ending the way it did and then coming into this year may have been a little bit behind in the college process. So that made their work getting to them and making sure they're in pace with where they should be was probably an issue for some. But overall, I think they were able to connect and help them with the process.
Well, that's great to hear. The only other thing I have to say is good luck with graduation. It sounds like it's going to be a little bit easier and more normal than last year. So I'm excited for everybody involved.
Yeah, so we've already started planning. Randy was out putting some squares down because we are still going to have some things similar to last year's graduation. And obviously, as things come out through the Department of Health, we can tweak as we go. But looking forward to it, pretty excited, and it's right around the corner.
Mark, I have a quick question too. I think it's public now. Are you allowed to announce the valedictorian and the salutatorian to us?
Yes, I'm sorry. I had that on my list and everything. So our valedictorian this year was the student that gave us a nice video from the AP Chem class. That's Aiden Helfont. And he'll be going to Cornell University, as I mentioned. And the salutatorian this year was Seth Walden, and he'll be attending Colgate University. And they were the ones also in the video that were reading the announcements that Chris played earlier.
Great, thank you, and congratulations.
Any other questions for Mark? And I'm sorry I jumped without asking for questions before.
The only other thing I will say is thank you to those students who decided to enlist in the armed services. It's a very noble thing for them to do.
Okay. We'll turn it over to you, Heather.
Okay. So June is kind of an interesting month because you're really looking back over the course of this year and reflecting. Then you're looking at wrapping up the school year. And then I've been looking at the summer program, and then I'm looking ahead to the next school year. So it really it gives you a lot of time, pause for reflection, but also, to get really excited about what's to come down the road. So it's busy as well, for sure. So we have done the end of the year assessments, or are in the process of doing that. And it's been really interesting. So this is definitely a passion of mine to look at academic growth. And I have had a chance to meet with individual classroom teachers, the reading department just recently, to take a look at how students have done this year. And I'm happy. So it just feels like, a real success when I look at individual students' growth this year. And then we also are completing our Fountas and Pinnell assessments as well. So it's very encouraging. We, on June 7th, fourth grade administered the New York State Science Assessment. It was a little bit different this year, but nonetheless, the students completed the science assessment, and that's complete. We registered over 3.5 days. The kindergarten team completed kindergarten screening process. We have 35 students currently registered for the 21-22 school year. I've spent a lot of time working with teachers on their budget scheduling, class lists, curriculum discussions for next year, room arrangements for next year, staffing discussions, and planning. So that's, a lot of time is spent getting ready for the 21-22 school year before they head off for the summer. I've also looked at the new teachers, as you heard me mention before, in a lot of the professional development components. So I have put together a skeleton plan for a curriculum orientation for those new teachers early in the summer. So that'll give them some idea of where we're at in Hamilton and give them some time on their own to really do some research, do some talking with their mentor teachers and their departments to start to get ready for the fall. So I know several of them I have been in contact with and just are really anxious to get started and to get going. So this will give them like a nice formal opportunity to begin the acclimate themselves to Hamilton. So I'm really excited about that. as you heard, did a lot of looking at professional development needs with our staff, and then also looking for those opportunities that match up too. So on to the summer program. We have, as of the last board meeting, I was just looking at a survey of families, kind of just trying to figure out what we wanted to do. So now we actually have a full plan, which is exciting. So it will be a 5-week, Monday through Thursday, half-day program. It'll begin July 12th and wrap up August 12th. It'll be 8 to 11 o'clock approximately. And the participants will be students that have been recommended by their teacher. So we've already reached out to those families, and we have heard back from most families, I would say. So currently, I think we have 36 students enrolled. So we'll have 3 classrooms, and I have talked a lot. The staff is really excited about some of the different things we're going to be doing this summer. One of them is we're going to be creating a makerspace in the elementary. So I'm really excited about that. I've experimented with that in my own reading classroom, and it was a huge success. And so the summer school staff is really, really excited to play around with that. We're going to turn it into a PBL type project where the summer school students are going to start the planning process for that. And we hope that it's going to continue on with other classes getting involved in that in the fall and adding to our makerspace, and other classroom teachers signing up to be able to use the makerspace. So I've already bought some books, and we're really teachers. We've been in discussion of just different ideas. So really looking forward to that project this summer. Summer curriculum projects. So teachers are planning to focus on math and science curriculum for the summer curriculum projects. The math curriculum will be done collaboratively across grade levels. So one of my goals this year, you heard me talk about earlier on, but kind of came to a halt, and I was pretty disappointed about it, but we're picking it back up this summer, is to investigate next gen standards in math and look at our curriculum and see how it aligns to determine whether or not that's the best fit. So I'm really excited that the teachers, I have them on my desk in a pile, and they're really looking forward to picking that back up again now that they have some time, looking at the sample curriculums that we have, and determining whether we want to continue on with our current one or make some changes. So that'll be really fun this summer to see what the results of that is. Mo Boses is going to be leading 3 of our teachers this summer to work on science curriculum and looking at the next gen standards, and they're going to develop an outline including some timelines, essential questions, instruction, and assessments. So I'm really grateful for those 3 teachers for stepping up, and I'm hoping that they can come back in the fall and help guide some of the other teachers through that same process. So that will also be really interesting work that will continue on into next year as well. And then we've just had lots of events that we have completed or we're still planning. 5th grade moving up ceremony is going to be kind of this hybrid of in-person, individualized presentations in the evening, and then also where we will have a virtual presentation ceremony. The art show has been completed. The chorus, orchestra, and band concerts, I think Chris is going to be involved, in Morgan maybe, involved in recording those so we can send those out. Field days are going to happen on June 17th. And so, we're really excited to continue on some of those traditional pieces as well. So, and that's the report from the elementary.
Thanks, Heather. Any questions for Heather?
Not a question, but first, congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
It sounds like you are quite ahead of schedule in regards to your new hires and getting them up and ready. So I'm sure that's going to be very helpful for you next year, as you explained. And it sounds like you have a really solid plan for the summer. So thank you for your work on that, and good luck.
Thanks.
Chris, you're up next.
Hello, everyone. The middle, high school, and elementary principals have already mentioned a lot of the things that the technology department is working on. We're mostly at this crunch time at the end of the year really focused on supporting all the endeavors that the teachers and the administrators have got going on. Mark mentioned testing, so we've been focused on that. Heather mentioned the music department. That's taken up most of the past week or so. We are in the music classes with microphones and camcorders, and the teachers and students are doing a really nice job performing in front of those things, and we hope to have those put together so that everybody can have a sort of a normal concert sort of experience. Of course, we're getting ready for graduation. Something big that's happening with the technology department as we come to the end of the year is collecting all of the technology that we've been using all over the course of the year. Of course, this year, teachers are continuing to use that technology right up until the very end. So, it's going to be, we've got a plan in place, but we want to make sure that we account for all of this inventory and that Morgan and I have been working pretty closely with the principals to make that happen. We've got correspondences that'll be going out to the families of remote students about how to get that technology to us. So it's been we're busy, of course, at the end of the school year.
Thanks, Chris.
Sure.
Anybody for Chris? Questions?
Yeah, sorry. I apologize to you guys too. I always got a question for you, but you guys take the time out of your evening to tell us what great things you've been doing, and I don't want you to feel like we're not paying attention or what have you. Chris, so help me out with this question I have for you. I'm sure that you have some kind of a general replacement schedule for the school computers and devices and what have you.
Yep.
But this year and the end of last year, I'm sure those computers and devices have been used way more and taken home way more than when your plan was put in place. I know you got a new shipment of computers, luckily, because it sounds like they're hard to get now.
Mm-hmm.
So does the replacement schedule of computers and devices, is that something that is that an occurrence?
Yeah, so I don't think my replacement cycle is going to be altered too much, because our students, for the most part, have taken pretty good care of these devices. We have had a few, believe it or not, we've had a few cords chewed up by pets. That was the biggest casualty, really, of the
rabbits.
Cats, dogs, and they never chew the part that just comes off. They always chew the part that connects to the computer. So, but our students have done a pretty good job taking care of the devices. So when the devices come back, this is why I asked for Morgan's help, and he's graciously agreed. I don't know if he's talked to Mrs. Larson yet about the help. But we're going to make sure that every machine that comes in is in good working order, so that we can get a good a sense of that. But my sense of that over what's come into me, usually if a kid breaks something, they bring it right to me, is that we're going to be fine, and the replacement cycle is going to stay right on track.
Great. And your esports team haven't been smashing keyboards or anything out of aggravation? So.
No, but I tell you what, it's growing. The kids are psyched. A lot of the seniors put that in their fondest memories of
oh really?
Yeah, on that website about participating in esports. So it's growing.
Now when I first learned about esport, I don't know how I got on that, but it sounds like it's growing, like you said. So is there a governing body for sports? Can you explain how what kind of body or what league they are a member of, and what the future of that program could look like at HCS?
Sure. Actually, I've been attending interest meetings with component districts from the region, from MoBOCES, and we're really hoping to get some local rivalries going. Lots of other districts are starting to get their programs up and running. So there are a couple of major players, and by a couple I really mean two, companies that sort of facilitate the esports leagues. And then the one company that we're affiliated with just acquired a electronic curriculum company, so they're getting even more into sort of education. And they also, if you are allowed, when you join it, you're allowed to agree. Colleges can look at your win and loss record, and if you've posted any videos of your gaming. Colleges are beginning to give away scholarships. They've got their own esports teams, which it's something that our students are pretty interested in. So, you know, these leagues that we're a part of are nationwide, and I feel like will grow to be worldwide eventually. Last year, our esports teams played other teams all around the country. So I think it's got a huge potential for growth. I would love to see. It'd be awesome to see one of our kids eventually get a scholarship to a university to play on an esports team.
According to my game design and development kid, huge potential for scholarships.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And you have an upcoming 7th grader that already has his eye on the prize. So,
You know, Chris, I don't know if it's anything you'd ever want to, but as far as esports go, I don't play video games. I'm assuming you're not playing Grand Theft Auto, so that's good. Maybe that would be good future skills. I don't know. But it would be helpful maybe if you kind of develop some kind of a presentation so that we as a board would be able to have a better understanding of what exactly is that. You know, if you tell me that the basketball team's doing this, I know basketball. I've watched it. I have a pretty good general idea of what that is. But as far as esports, I don't know. I'm picturing kids with like the little like duck hunter stuff, but I know it's gravitated beyond that. So
I'll get the team to record one of their next matches, and I will pull some clips and show it for you guys at a meeting.
Nice.
Our Rocket League team is very good.
Okay.
It's basically video game soccer, but driving cars.
It's very hard.
Chris,
Not an easy game.
I did have a question about when you get all the devices back.
Mhm.
I assume you go through them all to wipe them, but I know that last year some of the devices had past kids' names on them, and I assume that some of that had to do with the fact that COVID was COVID and it was harder to do things last year. So I'm just hoping that in your plan for the summer that you guys have the ability to get through the devices and make sure that the kid that's used it this year's name isn't on it for next year.
Yeah. So with Chromebooks, that's not an issue because Google is all cloud-based, so nothing gets stored on the device anyway. As for the iPads, yeah, last year was kind of rough. You know, that day in March that Matt talked about when we had to like snap our fingers and deliver devices to everybody. So we didn't know who had what. And this year we're in much, much better shape. So yeah, that won't be
Great.
a problem.
Thanks.
Yep.
Anything else for Chris?
Yeah, the last thing is this meeting kind of puts to close this school year. Obviously, thanks to all the administrators, and I know they're not done yet, but all throughout the year, Chris, your name has been name dropped quite a bit in a good way. And thank you to and all of your helpers and team for all the help you've given everyone to help get through this tough year. I don't think we could have done it without your expertise and hard work. So thank you very much for all that.
Thank you.
Kevin?
Good evening, everyone. So I touched on a little bit about one of the things I was going to talk about, which is the SEL work that we're going to do this summer with our SEL team, which consists of some teachers, our guidance counselors, our school psychologists, and myself. But we teachers began administering the DESA this past week, and we'll continue to do for the next couple of weeks. If you don't remember from the beginning of the year, the DESA is our Devereaux Student Strength Assessment. It measures SEL, social emotional learning of our students, where they are. where their health and well-being is. So that being administered over the next couple of weeks, we will collect the data from that. The SEL team this summer will get together, analyze the data. Of course, we'll look at how our students progress with their social emotional well-being through the year, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. But just as importantly, we're going to use the data to help us to find a system or a program that best meets the needs of our students for social emotional learning this summer. So that's a big project that we have going. Speaking of the behavioral support team and the SEL team, we've begun some discussions about some possible PD that we can offer on opening days. We feel it's pretty important that teachers are actually asking for this, but some SEL work on opening days on classroom behavioral management strategies. So we have a couple of behavioral support specialists, one from BOCES, one from the Calverman Center that work with us. We're planning offering a 2-hour course for teachers on one of the 2 opening days on behavioral management in the classroom. So a proactive kind of positive kind of behavioral management. But the bulk of the time in my department has been spent the last couple of months on CSE meetings. Since our last Board of Ed meeting, we've had 69 CSE meetings in the last month. So, what does that entail? What does that look like? A CSE meeting looks really similar to what you're looking at right now. Parents, related service providers, special education teachers, gen ed teachers, school psychologists, myself, secretary. We get together and work through IEPs, annuals for each student so that they're ready to go for next year. And it's not just the meeting, but for every meeting we have a pre-meeting. So we pre-meet everyone, including the parents, so that when we walk into our meeting and we spend an hour together putting that IEP together, we really have good direction already. There's no surprises. It's well coordinated. So that takes a bit of time as well. But then after each meeting, the teachers and the special education teachers have to put together the actual IEP. Everything has to be mapped out with goals and programs and accommodations and modifications, present levels of performance. It's quite an endeavor for each IEP. So having 69 meetings in 1 month, and you can't avoid this. This is, your annuals have to be at the end of the year because you're planning for next year and you have to use the year's evaluation. So that's really, my department has really spent this last month and the prior month getting those meetings in a good place. It's a very strategic endeavor in that we want to offer what our kids need, but we can't offer what we can't deliver. And everything has to be coordinated in an effective and efficient manner. So it takes a lot of planning. And I just wanted to take my time tonight and to really thank the team that I have. Heather and Mark, I'm sure would agree. Chris, who's in our suite. We've got a remarkable team, from our school psychologist, Michelle Spencer, to all of our special education teachers, our counselors, Caprice Kiltz, for anyone who isn't around school at 6 o'clock at night or on the weekends. She works through into the night and on the weekends, almost always, making sure we're organized and the meetings go effectively. So I just wanted to thank my team. We have a really good team in that department, and wanted to take the time to recognize them, and also the teachers too. They're also the ones who help us to coordinate what students need by giving us lots of information and taking time out of their planning period, sometimes their lunch periods, to have these meetings, so that kids can have the best services that they can possibly have, meet their needs. So thank you to them. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kevin, for all those hours and for your team's hours. Really important work, and a lot of work goes into it. So thank you. Any questions for Kevin that you need to go through?
No, you wrapped up what I was going to say quite well, Michelle. A lot of, Kevin, what seems like you've been hard at work on this year is figuring out next year. And I'm sure that's been most helpful to Matt in the budget process. So thank you for all that important work you do and your team.
It all goes hand in hand.
Yep.
And speaking of Matt, it's your turn.
It's been primarily these federal grant applications and planning really since the last time we spoke. So I really don't have anything really new to report on. As far as from a support standpoint, I know Mark mentioned that he's been working with Randy in preparation of graduation, preparing different areas of the building for exams. I was happy that Andrew earlier acknowledged Andrea Cass and her crew in the cafeteria for their work. You know, it's amazing. They just keep plugging along. But also Lorna Simchek in our team of bus drivers. It's been tough this spring too, because with sports coming back up, you know, the way that she's been able to make things happen and the drivers have been able to make things happen. So really, you know, sort of following what Kevin was doing, I too would like to thank, you know, all of the support staff for supporting everybody to really just get through these next 2 to 3 weeks. So everything's good. And like Kevin said, everybody's working together to get there. So all good. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all of them. I really appreciate it. Any questions for Matt?
Yeah, I got a quick one, Matt. For summer school, I know during the year, busing, bus drivers was a challenge at different times. Does it look like it's going to be smooth sailing for busing the summer school students?
As of now, yes. Yep.
Okay. Also, please extend our thanks to everyone under your supervision, and which you just thanked, but especially the custodial staff. That video presentation earlier with the Clorox spray, that looks like that's probably going to come in handy for years down the road, just time frame. But thank them for helping keep our campus safe for, you know, all the after hours work that none of us really see or think about.
Will do. Thanks. Appreciate it.
That moves us to Bill. Superintendent's update.
Yeah, before I start, you know, we're giving thank yous. This administrative team has been incredible. The work they've done behind the scenes, the work they've done in the forefront has just been incredible. You know, you hear every month the work that they're doing and leading has been tremendous. And we could not have gotten through this year without this team in the positions that they're in. So, you know, I'm really proud of them. I'm thankful for them, and I appreciate them. So a couple updates. APPR legislation has been waived. So the APPR is the annual professional performance review. That's how teachers and principals and division leaders administratively are evaluated and scored, if you will. So that would have been very difficult to do throughout this pandemic, given the models of teaching and learning that we have been in. So the legislator finally gave us the okay to waive the APPR process as far as the scoring component. Observations are still applicable, so we'll continue to do our observations and conclude our observations, and you know that's important as far as teaching and learning, the observation process, because you know that is a good indicator of growth for our teaching staff. So, but the scoring component has been waived, so that's a really good thing, and that's a relief to districts. Secondly, I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the federal funding that I've signed our administrative team up for a year-long work study with Dr. George Theoharis from Syracuse University. He's going to lead us in a regional series around his new book, 5 Practices for Equity-Focused School Leadership. And I think that'll be very beneficial to us as we navigate the DEI framework and give us a collaborative colleagues, if you will, group that we can share ideas and talk about what other districts are doing regionally, as far as DEI and the work around inclusion and equity. So I think it's really important. I think it's going to be very exciting for us. The administrative team, our first meeting will be September 29th. And then we have 6 other meetings after that, regionally, each of them focused throughout Dr. Theo Harris's book. So that'll be very good for us from a leadership standpoint. And lastly, I want to talk about masking. Last Friday, the media incorrectly reported that masking was no longer applicable in schools, and that created some difficulty in districts. And you know, as I stated in my correspondence that I put out to the community, we do not make any changes to our policies or procedures without guidance from the Department of Health. You know, the governor has made remarks in his press conferences that have been not been supported by the Department of Health, and it's created problems for districts. And this was one of them. So we did not change any of our policies. However, effective June 7th, the Department of Health has put out a mandate that face masks are not required to be worn outdoors on school grounds, including during outdoor school sports. You can still, if it's parents' rights, it's students' rights. If they want to wear a face mask on school grounds outside, they can. But my recommendation to you as a board is that we fall in line with that guidance from the Department of Health and no longer mandate masks to be worn on our school campus while outside. Indoor masking is still required. That will not be waived. We will not change our policies and procedures for the remainder of this school year. But I will make a recommendation to you to fall in line with the Department of Health's guidance that will not require us to wear face masks outside on school property.
And that's for all levels.
That's for all levels, correct? Yes.
Bill, can I? So I read the guidance this morning, and it wasn't totally clear to me where outdoor gym class fell in, because that is a class. But if it's a gym class that's outdoors, what is the interpretation on that?
The interpretation is that they do not have to wear face masks.
Because it's outdoors.
Because it's outdoors. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, and the masking indoors is regardless of vaccination status. You are required to wear a mask indoors, whether you're fully vaccinated or not.
Bill, with such a policy, outside still leaves some discretion to teachers who might see a situation where maybe they do, you know, kids are congregating, it's crowded. They could direct the children to put on masks if they feel like it is necessary, even if it's outside.
Yeah, they do have that discretion, you know, and if it's, you know, they can't, you know, if it's a small group gathering, you know, and they're working on a science project or a lab and they're really close, the teacher has the right to say, let's mask.
Bill, thank you for that recommendation. You know all the particulars in your team, so I feel whatever you feel is best. I'm with you there. The only thing I'd say, those students or staff that choose to wear a mask outside, I hope that they are not ridiculed or, you know, peer pressure not to. I hope your staff is able to help alleviate any of those problems that may come up.
Sure. Yep. They've been terrific all year with all of our masking protocols, and I would expect them to continue that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what I will do is ask Chris to put out correspondence tonight. I have a letter ready to go to all of our families that starting tomorrow, masks will no longer be required to be worn outside.
Now, Bill, they are required on buses.
Yes. Yes, they are.
Because I'm sure that's where a lot of people could be like, oh, it's outside. So
yeah, no.
Gotcha.
And I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Questions?
Sorry, I was muted.
Yep.
Bill, I think you kind of wrapped it all up. You thanked all your team. That's great. And the only thing I can think, as this meeting kind of brings the year to an end, I think it's one last opportunity to thank all the retiring teachers and staff. I'm sure it's been a year that they will not forget. But thank you for them to, pushing through this year and helping out.
Thank you, Travis.
Well said, Travis. We have a budget vote status. Matt?
Yeah, this is just for you to see the summary of the results from May, and also a look at the historical budget votes for just comparative purposes. This is just information. All good news. Low turnout, really lowest. I think unless you go back to the 60s, and certainly a good passage rate. So all good news, just for informational purposes only.
Great, thank you. I think, Mark, you covered it already. 7.4 was senior class future plans. Anything else to add to that, or are we all set there? I didn't want to skip over that since we are so proud of all of them, but.
No, I think we're all set there.
Okay, so just another congratulations. Next up, we have a discussion and a list of dates. So we have typically held our meetings on the second Thursday of every month. This past year, it has been 6:30 in the evening. So I'd like to talk about that first. 6:30, the second Thursday of every month, work for everybody for next year.
For almost everything it does, the July 8th is the one day that doesn't work for me.
The reorg meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. When are you
The
leaving?
7th would be fine.
Okay.
It's the 8th is the day of travel, so
Can everybody?
Is the 7th a Wednesday?
it
The
must be.
7th is a Wednesday.
I could do that.
I can do the 7th as well.
July 7th?
July 7th.
That may be difficult for me.
And if it's a virtual meeting, it's really just the 8th that's a day for me.
Yeah, that's a travel day for me.
Any
The
day
7th
besides
is?
the 8th. The 6th works for me too. Or the 1st or the 2nd.
Are these going to be in person or virtual?
So
Or do we need to discuss that as well?
We can discuss, but I do think that we can move to in person. I've talked to Chris and Bill about holding it in person for those of us that are on the screen at the moment, keeping in mind the rules of the school, masked 3 feet apart, and we would be able to do that within our professional development boardroom. And we would still live feed for the community portion for the time being until we have a little bit more freedom for space and visitors in the school for that piece of it.
Corey, would you be able to join virtually for that 8th meeting or no? I didn't catch
The
that.
8th's the only day I couldn't.
Okay. Debbie, is there a date that we have to have the reorganizational meeting by?
Yes, you have to have it by the, within the first 15 days of July. So we could do it July 15th. It's a Thursday if that works for everybody.
Yeah. So it has to happen between July 1st and July 15th.
It does.
But if everybody else can do the 8th, I mean, we still have enough people too, so.
And that means we get to assign all sorts of things to Corey.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what happened last year.
That's what happened my second year. We'll be
The
nice.
8th, Michelle.
Can anybody do the following week, either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday?
Was the 6th was the 6th off the table for
I
anybody?
think Bill's away then. Yes, Bill?
Yes, I am.
Bill gets back You
I
get back
on-
the 8th.
Yeah, the 7th is
The
a travel day, so I'm back on the 8th.
So can we do 13, 14, 15?
That works for me.
If I had a choice, I'd rather it be a Monday or Wednesday, but I'm open to anything that week. Or,
I
the
can do
15th is
any
fine.
of
The
those.
15th is fine. Is that
Well, the 14th was a Wednesday.
The
She said
14th is a
14th.
Wednesday, so that's fine.
Does that work for everyone?
And I need the whole team, so all administrators need to be shaking their heads as well. And Debbie, not just the board, now that we've kind of narrowed down. So everybody look at your calendars.
July
Debbie,
15th.
Me.
July 14th, it's a Wednesday.
Yeah, it works for me.
Now, Debbie, this is just a discussion. So if something came up, would the July reorganizational meeting and regular meeting be able to be rescheduled to a different day?
Yeah, all meetings can just be rescheduled.
Yeah, we just have to have notice.
As long as the notice is able to be.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that
what day were we
does
thinking
not work
again?
for me.
Which day's not good?
13th, 14th, 15th.
That
Probably.
one's not good. Yeah, but no offense, but I think
Yeah.
it's okay if
It'd be better
if
to have
we're-
Corey than Mark. No offense.
right and Bill and Bill than Mark.
Bill, yeah.
14th might be a problem for me. I have no idea, to be honest
You
with
don't
you,
know
but
yet.
I think it might be.
Okay, we don't want to
Mark,
lose
what
all
days
of
did
you.
you say?
That whole
13th
week.
and on?
Just about the entire week. There are some things still up in the air.
Okay. What's the 12th? Is that a Monday? I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
don't have a.
12th is a Monday.
Does the 12th not work for anyone?
12 works for me.
If
that's
there's a possibility of me going, the 12th would probably be the best of that week.
It works for me.
Works for me.
I'm trying to get back to it. Sorry. That's
I
fine.
don't.
Probably works for
I'm
me.
not real sure.
Matt has no clue.
Let's do the 12th.
But as
All right.
far as the board members and Bill and Debbie, I suppose, the 12th doesn't seem to be a problem.
Seems to be
Okay,
okay.
As long as I can
Let's-
join virtually, that's all.
You can join, and if
Yeah.
we're going to be in person, we have to post that you're virtual.
And the
That's-
location, right? Is that something
But
you're okay with?
but Debbie can
Yeah.
get that information from you at
Yeah.
a later time.
Not to drag it on. Debbie, you've told me in the past, I believe the second Thursday seems to be like the happy medium for all the reports and everything.
Yes, that works.
Okay.
So I do have a conflict with a couple of those Thursday dates. September 9th, I can't make work at all. And December 9th, I could possibly do virtually. I don't know if that matters or not.
Maybe we cross those bridges when they come.
Yeah, I think we take those as they come. There's always a meeting where somebody can't
Yeah.
come.
Yeah,
Right, and you still have enough to vote.
Yeah.
right.
The big thing with the July meeting is it's the reorganizational meeting. So that's
Right.
ideal to have everyone there. That's in one way or another.
All right, so then we'll do that Monday, the 12th,
Well, okay, at 6:30.
at 6:30. And we will be in person, except for Corey will be virtual, and he'll give Debbie the information ahead of time. And the public will be virtual.
And the board retreat will be a weekday starting at 4:00. Is that right?
Correct. It's a Monday, and it's not a Monday. Hold on.
I'll make that work.
It's a Tuesday, and it's 4:00.
Okay.
Jen, do you have anything work related on your calendar that day
I do not.
on the 10th?
No.
Okay. I it's blocked off and says hold for staff training, but I have no idea who did that.
Oh crap. I think Michelle did that.
But it's a 4:00. Would you have staff training at 4:00 in the afternoon?
It says 1 to 5, so. Oh,
I
wait,
normally
here, hang
work
on.
till 5. I'm going to make it work. So if you guys are able to, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, let us look into it and let us know. We don't need to finalize. It's a
Yeah.
time and a date. We can adjust that.
And that's fine, yeah.
Okay.
It's an odd collection of names on it, but it does seem to be Dean of the college related.
I think that brings us to 7.6. We all ready to go there?
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
just a notification. Summer office hours, 4 days a week. One office will be opened every other Friday. It'll be posted, and this will start on July 5th as normal. We're up to community participation. I've asked for people to already enter things, and I have no comments at this time. I'm asking again. We do have a couple people watching, so we'll give it a couple seconds, but because I did ask already, I was hoping that that would help this delay right now.
Michelle, would I be able to comment in this section? I just realized that there wasn't a NISBA update on the agenda.
Oh, yeah.
Would I have a comment about that so I
Yeah,
can
go
fill a
ahead.
little bit of time?
Yeah, go ahead right now.
So NISBA's advocacy efforts are guided by the members of NISBA, and all of our resolutions are due July 16th. So if any of the board members, Bill, administrators have anything that you would like to be a focal point for the efforts in this coming school year, let me know, and then we can work together to create a formal resolution and submit that to NISBA.
Great.
Thank
Very
you.
helpful. There's no comments, so we're going to move along. We do have executive session. There will be no voting after executive session. And there's no need for the administrators, correct, Bill?
Correct.
In executive session. So I wish those of you in the office a safe drive, and those of you that are home a safe walk from one end of the house to the other. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for those of you that paid attention this evening to our meeting, and have a great night. So I need a motion to adjourn to executive session. We will, sorry, hold on. The board will discuss, I forgot this part. The board will discuss matters regarding the employment of a particular individual and the board self-evaluation.
I'll move. Oh, second.
All those in
I'm giving
favor?
up on full sentences. Aye.
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 Aye. All right, have a great night, everyone.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.